Hey everyone, welcome. So today begins a new journey. So I've had this idea for a while. I grew up playing World of Warcraft, and lately I've been interested in long-term investing, building financial security, and just life topics and philosophy of, investing. And, I wanted to combine a typical WoW channel and a typical finance channel into one adventure. So, here in this series, we're going to level a fresh character from 1 to 90 in this Pandaria Classic. And while we quest, while we run dungeons, explore Pandaria eventually, we'll talk about real investing, saving for goals, buying a home, retirement accounts, project management, and whatever else comes up along the way. Just want to preface this, not a financial advisor. I'm sharing what I'm learning and what I'm doing with my own money. Hopefully you'll pick up a few ideas, enjoy the nostalgia, and maybe we'll both learn something along the way. So, kind of a little background. So, I remember being about 8 years old, and my older brother, he asked me, he's like, well, what are you doing this weekend? And I said, oh, well, I'm 8, I'm 9. I'm not doing much. And he's like, so I have this game called World of Warcraft that I've been playing. And, could you log on and, maybe just click a few buttons and see if you can stay in, I think it was Wintergrasp, I believe. So I remember logging on to his level 70 Draenei Shaman, and, back in the Burning Crusade days. And, I remember kind of clicking the first 4 buttons because that's all I really knew how to do. And then, God bless his poor soul, I ended up getting a kill on one of the guys, and, I was kind of hooked. I had a really good time. It was really fun. And I remember playing a couple more times in the weekend, had my brother come home. Hey, Bobby, look at all this honor I got you. And, he had a smile on his face. So, what this game means to me is bringing people together, having a good sense of combining fantasy with reality and analytics. And, I think that's a lot of what goes on in the, the finance world and the World of Warcraft world. So, a little bit different, I know, but unique in a way, combining the two variables. So, with that, let's begin. So I was thinking of going with this character, creating a new one. So I was going to go Alliance. Not Rogue, but we're going to go with a Hunter. So we're going to have some fun names for the cat. I don't know if you see the cursor, but, we're going to customize the character. And, I think a lot of what I want to do in this channel is combine a lot of life variables and, what makes up the slow and steady that is life and investing and, building up to a certain level where you can really start progressing and seeing how far you've come each day and kind of see how, you start to think about things differently and, try to, grow and develop and, learn new skills and be a lifelong learner. So, kind of one of the things with characters is you're kind of born. A lot of it is genetics, but also a lot of it is, what the changes you make along the way, to make yourself an improved, optimal, and, the best person you could be. So, I'm going to start with facial hair here. I'll start from the bottom. I'm going to keep him clean shaven. His hair color is going to be, I like this green over here, so I'm going to do that. His hairstyle, we're going to give him some braids if we can do it. Oh, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to do some braids. We're going to make him look a little friendly. And then skin color, I do think the skin color is alright, but I'm just going to cycle through him. This looks like classic night elf. So we're going to go with that. So, as far as the name, we're going to continue with this series. Azeroth and assets. Now we'll do A and A. So we'll start with that. We'll finish. And we're off. A and A. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of a improvement. I think personally, we're not gonna go leveling completely fresh. You know, I think a certain component is also being able to watch and actually get a good sequence going on as far as, you know, kind of the ease of the play gameplay, and you know, also why I can sit back, talk to you guys, shoot the shit, and you know, really connect with you guys. And I think I'm gonna add the bind on account bow. I'm gonna get the shoulders and the chest. So, you know, I just want to preference this. You know, I'll make this in a later video. I might just throw it on, you know, as we go. But I'll do the bow, I'll do the shoulders and the chest. So, you know, I want this channel to be very interactive. I don't want, you know, me talking up on the screen, and, you know, I want to connect with you guys, you know, kind of be friendly face, somebody you could talk to, laugh with, you know, and just enjoy the ride. That's life. So, you know, with that, I'll keep it short. I think if you want to see a little adventure, we're gonna go on to my main account, which I started back in 2019. I actually created this character on the day WoW Classic came out, and you know, I played for a few weeks, got to level 38, did Gnomergan dungeon, and you know, I remember being like, you know, I think it's time to kind of take a little break from video games, focus on work. And you know, after I graduated school, you know, it was a nice little getaway for a little bit. But then fast forward into late 2025, I ended up kind of getting I'm going to enter into the world, but I ended up getting into, you know, back into it. And I remember playing, it was MoP Classic, and, you know, I was learning a few things along the way, but it was pretty fascinating to kind of see the difference between WoW Classic and then logging back into the same server that had about 10 people in it. But it's a fun adventure. It was a very fun adventure. So, you see, we're at the bank. I'm gonna open up.
How are you?
And we found one of the 10 people in this entire realm. So, we're gonna go over to our bind on account gear. So we got this guy. We're gonna give him a little trinket too. Why not? We're gonna give him, what's this? It's not highlighting. It's strange. I don't know what that is. Maybe this will help. We'll see. What's this? Oh, this is mana. Okay, we don't want mana. So we want the health. I'm just gonna add the trinket too for health, just to be sure. On the safe side, then we're gonna go grab the bow, grab the shoulder, and we're also gonna grab the chest. So with that, we got A and A over here. I don't know how this works. I think it will work, but let's see. Send the mail, A, and A. Send it to our pal over here. So the war-torn ancient bow, chest, shoulders. I'm gonna do the trinket to. Oh, that's malevolent. Okay, so just 4. Hey man, let's get after it. Best of luck in your Azeroth assets. Adventure. Nice little message. Fun stuff. So I don't think we're going to send any gold, but we'll do a little bit of BOA. Just want to make sure. Okay. Alright, good. Mail sent. Okay. So I just X out of the game. I'll cut that out. But yeah, so we sent it. We're all good. Sent the mail. And we are going to now log out, not exit game. So let's head over to A&A. And yeah, so we're going to be starting in Teldrassil. That'll be fun. Get some nice gear.
After years
go through
of
the whole little
imprisonment
payroll.
within the Emerald Nightmare,
I always loved this game. I think when I first created my account here, back in, I guess 2011, 2012, maybe even 2010, around that area. I remember I created a Night Elf Druid, and it was back in the day where a lot of it was, you know, very nostalgic, or not nostalgic, but fun. And, you know, I got a lot of time where, you know, I remember creating the accounts, you know, using the free trial and getting them to level 20 and then making a new email just so I could make another account. And, you know, it was very fun. Best memories. But the reason I only have one account here, well now two, but in Mr. Pandaria Classic was, you know, a lot of it was, you know, back at that age, it was, for me personally, it was hard to stick to anything, hard to kind of get a good sense of, you know, sticking with something and seeing it through, and, you know, trying to be the best person you can be with maybe a few things. And I definitely think the world has, you know, gravitated more towards a specialist world, getting really good at one thing, and, you know, just trying to be the best you can be at it. And I think that that's definitely a good philosophy. So before we do any questing, as you see, we got on red mail. We're gonna head over to the mailbox. Hopefully there's a mailbox around here. I would have to assume so, but you never know. So here are our first steps. So if I remember correctly, there might be a mailbox over here. And there is. Okay. So we're going to come over here. And go to the mailbox. We're going to get our fun stuff. Hey man, let's get after it. Best luck in your Azeroth and Assets adventure. Alright. Let's see if you can equip this stuff. So we got the bow. Got the chest. Got the Grand Champion. Got the haste. Look at us. We look good. Little bow action. Nice. So a little bit of gear. Nothing crazy. And yeah, so we're gonna head back over here, pretend like none of that happened, and guess I'll get rid of the bow, get rid of the Rugged Trapper's vest, and the message, get rid of you too. Okay, so we'll start back, and you know, I really want to come up with ideas as we go along with the series. I think we'll have some fun names with the pet, with our A&A pet. You know, if you think of any challenges, like every week I invest a certain amount of money while the character levels. At the end of each episode, I can spend a couple minutes talking about, you know, my portfolio. You know, and I want to keep the tone conversational rather than trying to teach every episode. You know, I want it to be smooth. I want to talk about the gameplay. You know, I just want to make it feel like we're just sitting on the couch, having a chat, computer across the room, we're just gaming. And yeah. So I think that's it for the first video. Next level, get into business, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thanks guys, and have a good one. Speak to you soon.